I am in Season 2 of the Wolfey Draft League, which you may not have known because my channel was taken down during the draft stream. This season has some incredible players, and I figured I'd break down my squad and why we picked the Pokemon. So let's jump right into it. I'm very excited for Season 2 of the Wolfey Draft League. We have such a great lineup of coaches. I'll link everybody's channel down below. And originally I wasn't going to do this, I was going to do it at stream, but I was like, let me just break down my team because my channel's back and you guys deserve to know why I picked these Pokemon. So, I am third pick overall. I am after Shady and Playmore, and my first pick is Basculegion. Now, I'm a big Basculegion fan. I love this Pokemon. It is broken in this current regulation, but that's not why I picked it. You see, I wanted Mega Gengar. I thought Mega Gengar would be really cool. I wasn't about the Perish Trap or anything like that, but I really wanted Mega Gengar because I thought it'd be a fun Pokemon to use in drafts, specifically because in VGC, you're kind of limited to Protect, Perish Song, Shadow Ball, Disable, or whatever you want to do, Sludge Bomb, anything like that. Or you might have the there's 3 attacks, Protect as well. But in this, I could use things like Energy Ball. I could use things like Thunderbolt, things that Gengar doesn't typically run, and that's kind of why I wanted to use it. It has such a great speed tier. But I decided to pick Basculegion because, realistically, it was on the board. There wasn't any Mega I wanted besides Mega Gengar initially, so I figured Basculegion would be a pretty solid pick just because, 1, I don't have to fight it, and 2, it did do me well in a previous VGC season. It did do me well in the previous VGC season, so I was like, let me get it. But this time, I actually am limited to just male Basculegion. I can't use the girl as well. That's actually a separate draft. We did separated this time, which is pretty smart, honestly. I think giving, especially it being only 19 points, like the top points are 20, which are Pokemon like Mega Floette, Mega Gengar, and Mega Charizard. I think this being at 19 makes a lot of sense, and obviously, adaptability is disgusting. Y'all know how broken Last Respects is. I mainly just did not want to fight this Pokemon. I really didn't. Also, in a setting where only one person has King Gambit and one person has like Incineroar, which Incineroar is barely an answer to this as it is, I think it's a lot easier to use this Pokemon. Basically, I don't have to deal with Sucker Punch from every single person since almost everybody is running King Gambit in current VGC. So I'm excited to see what Basculegion can do. I know what it can do, and I think it gets a lot better currently as well because there's a limited pool of Pokemon that can deal with it. Also, please let me know your thoughts on my draft overall. I know a lot of people are thinking I have a really weird draft. That's my favorite thing at the end of drafts when people say, yo, your draft team looks... I mean, last season it was just broken because I had like Archaladon, Basculegion, Pelipper. But I like when people look at my draft and they underestimate because like, oh, I'm going to do some fun stuff. You're going to have a fun season. By the way, my first battle goes up Sunday versus James. I fight the winner of last season this Sunday. And the Wolfey Draft League are staggered uploads. So half of them are Saturday, half of them are Sunday. Your boy has Sunday versus James. But my second pick, you know, a lot of rounds go out snake draft. There's 8 people in this, and I end up getting my Mega. So I decided to get Mega Kangaskhan. Now, Mega Kangaskhan is not that great in the current regulation because of Sneasler, because of the high power level, because why use this when you can use Mega Charizard, Mega Floette? It's so much easier. Aerodactyl gets to the Tailwind, and you get just the Demon teams. You've seen it. Mega Kangaskhan is not like the best Pokemon in the Mega. It's not bad by any means, in my opinion, but it is severely limited in this, right? You're basically forced to run Fake Out, your normal stab, which you don't have return anymore or anything like that. Obviously, you don't have Power Up Punch anymore either, right? You got to run Fake Out, Double Edge, or Body Slam. And then it runs like Sucker Punch for Basculegion, and then you'll see Drain Punch or Low Kick to deal with King Gambit. That's kind of like your bread and butter for this Pokemon, but look at its stats. 105 HP, 125 attack, 100, 100, 100. It is beautiful. I think the amount of things you could do, especially with Parental Bond, even with Parental Bond being nerfed, and it was a big nerf with Parental Bond, man. Going from what it did to what it does now is disgusting for Kangaskhan. The damage output is definitely a lot weaker, but I think you really can tap into that Gen 1 power that Mega Kangaskhan has, and by that I mean coverage, right? Mega Kangaskhan has insane coverage. You can run things like Ice Punch, you can run things like Fire Punch, and you're actually going to be doing some decent damage with this Pokemon. I can also run Crunch. I'm not limited to Sucker Punch because guess who has Basculegion on the team? So I don't have to worry about Sucker Punching this Mon before it Lash Respects my partner or goes for that. I think that's another big thing too. I like the fact that I have you know, a Pokemon weak to Ghost, and then I have the Ghost immunity right next to it, and a Pokemon weak to Fighting, and then I have the Fighting immunity right next to it, right? Like Kangaskhan Basculegion, I think pairs very well, especially in a Pokemon like Sneasler and things like that. But there's just a lot of other cool moves that Kangaskhan ends up learning. And a lot of cool support moves well. I don't want to go too much detail in it, but obviously like Thunder Punch. It also learns Beat Up, which is really funny. Not that I'm going to be using that with anything, but I think it learning Beat Up and moves like Assurance and even some little cool techs like Icy Wind and Rock Tomb can go a long way with this Pokemon. So I feel like Kangaskhan is just going to have the EV spread, like the free EVs as well. That's the big thing too, right? It is not hard to EV this Pokemon to live a super effective hit. 105 HP, 100 defense, 100 special defense, even close combats and focus blast. I'm sure I could EV this Pokemon to take, but on top of that, I can EV it to take it, but still do massive damage. There's a reason why this Pokemon was one of the best Megas for a long time, obviously before the nerf and, you know, losing all of its power punch and things like that. But I feel like Kangaskhan just gives me a lot of power, and it was only 18 points as well. And there was not really anything else I kind of wanted. I feel like it's just a great enabler, right? Like just having Fake Out on my team, double Fake Out on my team, to be able to allow a partner to do some work just felt really good. And I don't know if I said it before, but please make sure you subscribe to all the other coaches. I'll link them down below. I'm also going to link the website too, which you can check out. It actually has my full draft if you just want to skip ahead and everything like that. But this is me kind of explaining why I picked what I picked. And some of these Pokemon I've used before, which you saw with Basculegion, and you'll actually see in a sec too. I always thought, by the way, that the little baby should have been called Kangaroo. Not Kangaskhan, excuse me, not Kangaroo. Yeah, Kangaroo. Oh, very clever, Joey. No, Kangaskhan. The little Joey right there. Anyway, my next pick, Sylveon. I love this Pokemon. Shout out Snake. I love this Pokemon. Now, Sylveon is only 15 points, so that's actually relatively cheap compared to, you know, 18-point Incineroar and things like that. And you guys can see the points of the Pokemon drafted again on that WolfeyDraftLeague.com. That will be linked down below. But Sylveon is one of the strongest non-Mega fairies, if not the strongest non-Mega fairy. Obviously, there's Primarina there too, and Primarina does have a slightly higher special attack, a good chunk higher special attack. But I think the Hyper Voice is really, really nice on both, obviously, Pixelite versus the Primarina's Liquid Voice, which is good, but I think that hitting with the Fairy type spread damage, and obviously Primarina has Dazzling Gleam. Like, I'm trying not to compare the two because they're both 15 points, so they're both really good. But I really, really, really like Sylveon a lot. Just the overall damage is really nice, especially when paired with the Fake Out from Kangaskhan, the Basculegion dealing with Pokemon like Sneasler. That can be annoying. Sylveon getting back Mystical Fire, I think is really cool in draft. Like, in VGC right now, you'll probably only see like Detect or Protect, and then you'll see your Hyper Voice, Hyper Beam, and then your last move is either Quick Attack. Sometimes you'll see Moonblast somewhere in there if you're worried about Como with Soundproof, to be able to deal with that. And that's kind of like your bread and butter. That's kind of what you're running on this Pokemon. Always running Fairy Feather, and that's basically it. Enough EVs to take like a Dire Claw from Sneasler and then do a lot of damage back. Whereas in draft, I have a lot of other options when it comes to Sylveon. First off, it gives me, again, Mystical Fire is the big one, but it also learns moves like Psyshock, which is really nice for a Pokemon like Sneasler. And then I could also run Shadow Ball. Obviously, there's no Golden Go or anything, but there's some cool stuff like Priority Baby Doll Eyes to lower attack. I'm just looking like through its moveset and what it can actually do. I can even do Skill Swap and give Kangaskhan, get the double hit on Moonblast, and then give Kangaskhan the the Pixelate Body Slams. I think that'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, just a lot of cool options for this Pokemon, I think, going forward in this. And I think that it being able to even abuse Calm Mind next to Fake Out can be really nice. It's just a really difficult Pokemon to take damage from. And the synergy between these guys is really good too, because now I have the Fighting Resist as well. And then I have the resistance to, you know, the typing is resistant with Basculegion, right? Because it's resistant to poison, it's resistant to steel. So I really like the typing together, and I think that, like, in terms of my team so far, right, Basculegion is the, arguably, if not the best non-Mega Pokemon. I think that's like a universal when it comes to that, and Sylveon is one of the best, if not the best, fairy that is not Floette, and that's at least in current regulation, right? Obviously, draft things can change a bit, but like I said, I feel like you get a little bit more out of Sylveon from draft than you're even going to get and it's already really, really good. I mean, I brought this Pokemon Indie. It's so good, man. I brought Basculegion Indie too. I love these Pokemon so much. Speaking of Pokemon I love so much and I've used on the channel a lot, that's Krookodile. I'm a big fan of Krookodile. It gives me that ground typing, which I need because, I mean, there's not too many strong electro types, and honestly, the electro types are usually part grass, part water, like looking at Rotom Wash or Rotom Cut or anything like that. There's not too many strong electro types there, but I like having the ground immunity. I think I like it for Electro Web, being able to deal with that. I like Intimidate as well. Obviously, I do have to worry about things like Competitive and Defiant, but I also like the fact that it's a Dark Resist for the team that's fast, has a good speed tier. Moxie can do a lot, especially next to Kangaskhan picking off or getting chip damage with fake outs and sucker punches and things like that. And it's a good Scarfer as well. Obviously, Basculegion is a phenomenal Scarfer that can lash respects endgame, but Krookodile can do some fun things with like Earthquake or Rock Slide with Choice Scarf, so allowing it to deal with Pokemon like Megazord Y or anything like that. While also naturally being able, I didn't realize he had arms like that, bro. Bro's moving like Dusknoir. Like, calm down. But naturally being able to resist those dark type attacks aimed at it, right? With Intimidate, I can even eat like a close combat from fighting types or a Drain Punch from certain fighting types as well. I think it has a really good speed tier. It was only 9 points as well. And obviously, if I'm drafting Krookodile, I do want to be aware that, okay, I don't want to Earthquake my own team, but in a case of Krookodile, Krookodile does have access to high horsepower. Also, big shout out to CB Marcus for these slides. They're amazing. Krookodile does have access to high horsepower, so I can go for some singular target. I can also go for knockoffs, which I think is really nice, especially in draft. It gives me some information about what the opponent wants. And of course, if they have Megas, I can use Crunch as well. Stone Edge, Rock Slide. Just a good overall move pool, I think, for this Pokemon. And I'm a big fan of Krookodile in draft. One of my favorite mons to use. It has some fun techs as well, like Close Combat, Dragon Tail as well. It could be pretty cool for like an anti-trick room. Gunk Shot for fairies. Though I do obviously have Sylveon, which would probably be your main target of Gunk Shot. That or like Primarina would probably be your main targets because Floette is going to be faster than you. And then just has some other cool options too. Like if I'm feeling a little nice, I'm going to go for Fissure. Okay, 30% of the time I win the game off of Fissure. And as well as Lash Out, which I think is really nice too. Like I don't have to worry about, you know, if stats are lowered, I get the little double attack on the partner next to it. So when Incineroar comes out and I go for Lash Out on the guy next to it, you know, we're feeling pretty good. We're feeling pretty good in that regard. So there's just a lot of cool stuff, I think, that Krookodile can do. And I think it's a very flexible Pokemon, even if it doesn't look like the most flexible. And 95 HP, 80 defense with Intimidate is decently bulky. I've used this mon to live some crazy hits in, you know, my draft days. Obviously, I've almost always only used it in singles for draft, but I love Crook. It's such a, anybody who plays draft, especially draft singles, let me know right now. Y'all love Krookodile, right? Especially if you play draft singles. This is your value ground type, I think, always. Also, part of the reason why this video is so late is because I was also waiting for the playlist and things to work on my channel perfectly because my channel's been a little wonky since it came back from the hacking. But now I think it's like, I would say 95% good. There's a few things that need to be worked out, but I've been in contact with YouTube, so we'll see what happens. Now, I got my Earthquaker. I want an Earthquake immunity, and I have drafted this Pokemon. I've won a championship with this Pokemon. And also, Wolf used this Pokemon last season and was very good into me. Obviously, Noivern is really good, right? Noivern has some really cool tricks up his sleeve. The first one is its ability Frisk. So Frisk means I do not have to worry about guessing what the item is. And obviously, in the current regulation, this doesn't matter as much because there's not too many strong items, right? You know your opponent's probably going to be Focus Sash, White Herb, there's Choice Scarf, there's nothing else, really. There's not a lot of great items in there. There's some boosting item, there's your Mega Stones on the Megas, and Megas are forced to hold their Mega Stones, so there's not really a lot that Frisk does here, but it does change up the, you know, oh, is it Pasho Berry Incineroar? Oh, is it Shuka Berry Incineroar? Oh, is it Citrus Berry Incineroar? So that helps me out too. Obviously, Infiltrator is also really good for moves like Substitute and moves like Screens, and Telepathy is nice if I end up going for some move that could hit me, plus the partners as well. So there's a lot of fun stuff there. I think Noivern is, it gives me a really good speed tier. Noivern is extremely fast and also gives me Tailwind support, right? So it is one of the fastest non-Aerodactyl Pokemon that can basically get up Tailwind while also outspeeding Pokemon like Sneasler and threatening them with Hurricane. So I really like that. Noivern has a great move pool in general. I think Super Fang's really nice as well. One of the Pokemon that can definitely make use of, you know, Yachi Berry for ice type attacks or Habam Berry for things like dragon type attacks from Garchomp. Has some really fun stuff like Taunt as well. Switcheroo can give my opponent an Oran Berry because that item's in the game for some reason. I just think there's a lot of options as well, like a fast Screech or a fast Scary Face can also help on my team. Of course, Tailwind can do the exact same thing, but Screech might be cool in a pinch as well. And being able to throw off some nice strong coverage via Heat Wave or in terms of double target or Flamethrower if I want it, and drop some Dracos, I think, as well. It's really nice. Its stats are really like balanced for a Pokemon. Obviously, speed is the big thing that does it, so I don't expect it to do massive damage this season. Like 97 special attack is not really the greatest special attack in the world, but at least not in Generation 9. But I think that in this lower power level, even though it's lower power level regulation, but there's definitely some demons that shouldn't be here, like Basculegion and Sneasler, in my opinion. And I think that with Zardwai and Floette being the top guys, there should have been an Assault Vest in this as well. I still think it can actually work well in that. And it's also like a relatively cheap Pokemon too. It was only 9 points as well. So the combination of Krookodile and Noivern basically also cost me Kangaskhan. So it was 18, 18, and then I had 15 plus that. So I have a good chunk of points left going forward. And keep in mind, you only had 100 points for this, and you have to get 10 Pokemon in this. You were forced to get 10 Pokemon in this. So I like Noivern. I like the speed control for Pokemon like Basculegion, Pokemon like Mega Kangaskhan, and I think it's pretty easy for me to get up Tailwind, right? It's your classic Tailwind, right? You lead Kangaskhan, lead Noivern to fake out Tailwind, or you lead Basculegion in front of their Tailwind Mon, or you do that, or you do some item like Focus Sash on this guy. It's relatively bulky, like 85, 80, 80 isn't that bad. You'll live most super effective moves that are not 4 times effective at least, or not boosted by some sort of item or stat or anything like that. And I also have fun things like Dragon Cheer. I'm not saying I have another dragon type on my team, but it also gives me a +1 crit on regular guys, right? Even though the other one is +2. So there's still some fun little options. I think Breaking Swipe is also really interesting too. Being able to lower the attack of my opponents as they're going. So going next up, I kind of wanted like a Pokemon that I wanted a fire type basically. I also wanted something to take on psychic type attacks. Resist Fairy is kind of the big one for my team. As currently, I do not resist Fairy at all. So that's Armarouge. I love Armarouge. I think it's such a cool Pokemon. This and Ceruledge. I've used a lot of Ceruledge in Pokemon Champions. I have not used really much Armarouge. But Armarouge gives me a few things. One, it gives me Trick Room, which I think is pretty cool for the team. But I think, forget Trick Room, because I mean, that's fun, but my team isn't that slow. The big thing is it gives me Flash Fire. So it is a check to Zard, which I think is pretty cool. It also gives me nice spread move Heat Wave or Expanding Force, depending on if I go for Psychic Terrain with something. And I think the weak armor has a lot of potential as well. Obviously, there's no weakness policy, which kind of hurts what this Pokemon can do, because this Pokemon can do some disgusting things. I think it's also a great wide guard Pokemon for the team as well, protecting the rest of my Pokemon from spread moves like Blizzard or Heat Wave or anything like that, Muddy Water, whatever. Water Spout, Hyper Voice, etc., etc. And while just naturally being able to resist Fairy while doing it. So it pairs like really well with Pokemon that are weak to Fairy, because it can take on a lot of the threats that obviously that are obviously threatening the rest of my team. And 125 special attack stack coming off of an Armored Cannon, which is basically close combat, right? There's special close combat. And then of course you have coverage and Aura Sphere, Energy Ball, and then there's Heat Wave for spread, like I said. There's also Lava Plume, which I think is really funny for burns. Meteor Beam is another funny one. I think this Pokemon can try and get away with, and it also learns like Scorching Sand. So like it has some really cool options. Will-O-Wisp. I already mentioned Trick Room, Psychic Terrain as well as an option. But the big thing is providing wide guard support for my team, and then providing me a nice little Fairy resist, because my team currently, I have 2 Pokemon weak to Fairy, and it had no resist. And there are some strong Fairies out there, right? There's Floette. There's obviously, Necra has Mega Gardevoir, Sylveon, excuse me, I have Sylveon, sorry. She's a shoutcasted Sylveons. Mega Gardevoir, Primarina, and Mimikyu. So there's 3 fairies from that. So being able to have a resist, I think, is going to be really nice for the squad. And I'm very excited to use Armarouge in draft. I've seen my boy Viz use Armarouge a lot in draft. Now, not really in doubles, but in singles draft. And he's always put in a ton of work for this Pokemon. So I'm hoping that I can do Armarouge some justice this season. It's also one of the few Pokemon here that I've not drafted before. I don't think I've ever drafted a Mega Kangaskhan, but everything else, I'm like 2,000% sure I know I've drafted every other month. I also don't know if I've drafted a regular Kangaskhan, but I know I've drafted everything else here. So Armarouge and Kangaskhan are kind of like the new Pokemon that I've ever used, but obviously in doubles, it's a completely different thing too. I haven't used most of these. So my next pick. Now, at this point, people are starting to pick lower Pokemon because you're missing out on points, and then points start at 20, and then they all go all the way down to 1. So I'm looking at a Pokemon that kind of seemed like an oversight at 2 points, and it's Sharpedo. Now, Look at my team and look at Sharpedo. What does Sharpedo do in doubles? It does the exact same thing it does in doubles as singles. It runs a Focus Sash, it runs Crunch, your Water move, your Protect, and your other coverage move. That's literally what Sharpedo does in doubles, what it does in singles. But let me tell you something. It's fine, all right? First off, it's not a Mega Sharpedo, so it doesn't cost me a Mega Stone, which means I can actually run Focus Sash or a boosting item if I like Black Glasses if I really wanted to. Secondly, good speed. Right? Because of speed boost, it's going to be getting faster and faster. It hits very hard off of that base 120 attack. Good special attack too. It also has speed control. It has the option to Icy Wind the opponent, which I think is really cool. So also, if you watch some of the videos I did maybe 10 plus years ago with the boys, I used Endure Rough Skin Rocky Helmet Sharpedo. Now, there's no Rocky Helmet in the game, but who knows? Maybe I'll bring an Endure Rough Skin Sharpedo. But flip turn, close combat coverage, poison jab, psychic fangs to break screens, assurance, which I think is pretty cool as well, for some fun stuff, and even bulldoze to lower speed / icy wind, or snarl to lower the special attack of my opponent. Like Sharpedo isn't going to be a Pokemon that's going to be living right a long time, but when it's on the field, its presence is going to be felt. This gives me the double fish core of Sharpedo plus Basculegion, and then Sharpedo can go for close combat into something like Bisharp dealing with it, allowing my Basculegion to later clean up with something like Lash Respects or Wave Crash. So I really like the double fish core, and the fact that Sharpedo was only 2 points for another Psychic immunity as well in the team, I think is really, really nice. And high key, this Pokemon and one other in my last pick are the 2 Pokemon I was most excited to use in my draft, right? And I feel like when I'm excited about a pick in draft and people are like, oh, what? Sharpedo. This is where it's going to put in some work. So I'm very, very, very excited about this. Also, keep in mind, I've been sniped a lot. There's a lot of Pokemon I did want. Like, I wanted Jolteon at this point. Obviously, I wanted Gengar, but like Mega Gengar was like I was hoping it was a hopeful prayer. Other mons I was looking at were like Belly Bolt and things like that too, as potential electro types. I love Belly Bolt. We just won our last, I think, draft league with it as well versus Uzi in a phenomenal game. But Sharpedo was one of the Pokemon I definitely wanted at 2 points. And I knew that I had to split my points evenly, and this was kind of where it landed on. So next up, I mentioned I got sniped on Raichu, or excuse me, I mentioned I got sniped on Jolteon. Jolteon was 4 points, and I really like Jolteon, and it was really good in the last season. And I know that Necro, who took Jolteon, actually sniped a good chunk of people because I know Aaron wanted it as well for his rain team that he's building. But I ended up getting Raichu. Now, Raichu is interesting. Like another ground weak. My team is pretty ground weak. Raichu ends up giving me a really good speed tier at a base 110. And then it also gives me Fake Out, gives me Nuzzle support as well. Unfortunately, Raichu does not have Follow Me anymore. Any Raichus don't have Follow Me anymore. But I like the fast Fake Out. I like the screen support potentially as well, which is really nice. Speed Swap is also something that it has. It's the second fastest Speed Swap mom. I believe the fastest is Alakazam, and then it goes Raichu. I mean, I know Alakazam is actually, I'm positive Alakazam's the fastest. I just don't know if there's one between Alakazam and Raichu. But as Speed Swap, which is pretty cool, so I can trade someone's speed and give them my speed. The fast Electro Web is important too. I just wanted an Electro type because if you look at bulky waters and you look at my team, yeah, I can damage them in time, but I wanted to be able to have that super effective Thunderbolt on them coming from a stab Pokemon to be able to deal with it. Now, granted, Raichu only has 95 special attack, but it hits pretty hard. Also, some cool options like Feint as well. So Fake Out and Feint are always really cool. There's also Psychic Terrain for my Armarouge. Like if I want to set that up, I think that's a really cool option too that this Pokemon can do. So I've used Alolan Raichu in the past. This is something I have used in the past, and I really did like it, especially in doubles. I use it in doubles, and I really did like it in the past. And I think it just provides a lot of support for the squad, and like even cool things like Endeavor with Focus Sash can be nice. I know Wolf was running, I think, something like that when he ran Worlds, right? Was it the Raichu team that he ran Worlds with? I know it was Hitmontop, and I don't remember. Was it 2016 where he did that with Raichu? I don't remember. But it's been a long time. Been doing Mons for a long time. But I like the fast Fake Out. And again, the important thing is it's a cheap Electro type that gives some utility to my team. And it also can KO the water types that are definitely threatening to my squad. Like I feel fine into most other types. Though Fairy type offensively is very scary, but it lets me deal with the water types. But I tell you, Fairy type is very scary offensively, and I had my eye on one Pokemon. And I wanted to get this next round before my last Pokemon because I wanted to make sure that James didn't take it, since James had a lot of points. And that's, if I'm not mistaken, that's my Scizor. Scizor is really cool. it was 11 points, and at this point, remember, before I got Scizor, I only had 15 points left, and I had to get 2 Pokemon. Scizor's 11 points. Now, I wanted Scizor because Scizor just gives me strong priority. That's it. I've used it in singles draft. It's really fun. I've used it in OU forever. Man, I've been using Pokemon since it was made. But just that Technician Bullet Punch, I think, is really nice. Obviously, the close combat, it gets the U-turn. I think one other thing we can do, especially get away with this, is like Baton Pass is definitely an option we can have. So if I don't want a U-turn, I could Swords Dance Baton Pass into something like Kangaskhan if I really want to. I think it's a little bit harder to get that off in doubles, or it might be easier. Who knows? But Scizor just gives me that, hey, you have a Fairy type. I have a strong Fairy Resist that can actually OHKO you with Metal Coat Bullet Punch if I really, really want to. Obviously, there's no choice or anything like that, but like knockoff is really good. Also gives me some Tailwind support for the team outside of Noivern, but this is a Pokemon that can function on both Trick Room and Tailwind if it really wants to. And just being able to give me all the cool options like Lunge and Psycho Cut and like Dual Wing Beat as well. Just some good spread, just some good coverage, not some good spread move, but some good coverage overall. Feint as well to break protect, I think is really, really nice. Next to Pokemon like Sylveon that are going to hit hard, or next to Pokemon like Sharpedo or Armarouge or even Basculegion that are going to hit really hard. And then I like the Helping Hand. I mean, most Pokemon get Helping Hand because even if they don't have hands, they get Helping Hand usually. I guess you don't need a hand to help a hand, right? You just gotta put a hand out. Right? You help somebody, you need it. But I like that support for the team as well. Maybe even Rain Dance for Pokemon like Basculegion could be really cool if I wanted to do like a Swift Swim variant. And then Bug Bite I think is really nice too because I'm able to steal my opponent's berries, and if it's Citrus Berry I can heal. If it's Lumberry and I got burnt, I can heal myself as well. So just being able to Bug Bite those berries and then heal myself I think goes a long way. But the big thing I wanted was I wanted a secondary Fairy Resist for the team, and I wanted a Pokemon that says, hey, you have to think about this when it comes to prep. You can't just bring your Fairy type into my team and click Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast or Light of Ruin or whatever you want to do, because I do have a Scizor and it is something you need to worry about. So that's kind of why I got Scizor there, and that's why I was like really hoping I can get it. Scizor also got back Roost, which I think is really nice. Maybe it doesn't matter as much in doubles, but I am happy that they gave Scizor back Roost, right? And hopefully in the future we get some sort of 6v6 thing we can do in at least private battles where we can use this. But yeah, Scizor losing Roost for a while really sucked. So now I got it back, and I'm really happy about that for Mega Scizor. So my last Pokemon is actually, next to Sharpedo, the Pokemon that I am most excited to use this season, and that is Hisuian Decidueye. I don't know if anybody likes this Pokemon, but why did I get this Pokemon? One, it is a ground resist for the team. I currently had a ground immunity in Noivern, and that's it, right? Everything either took super, I have Armarouge and Raichu that take super effective. Scizor takes neutral. Everything else takes neutral, but I wanted to have this Pokemon that can also deal with bulky waters, even better than Raichu, because this mon hits 112 attack versus Raichu's 95 special attack, and gives me that Scrappy. Scrappy means I don't have to care about H-Slash. I can go right for close combat into it, just clicking my fighting moves into these ghost types and not really caring about that. Now, the other thing is, this is why it was only 4 points. It actually wasn't on the board initially, and then we put it on the board mid-draft. I was supposed to be on the board, and I was like, yo, can we put it at 4 points? Not knowing that I would have 4 points at the end. I didn't know I would have 4 points at the end. But what I really love about this Decidueye is obviously it gives me another Tailwind mon. And it also has some cool things like Shadow Sneak and Sucker Punch. But the big thing is its signature move, Triple Arrows, which is ridiculous, right? It's 90 base power, it's 100 accuracy, it has a high crit, it has a 50% chance to drop the target's defense by -1, and has a 30% chance to flinch. This is crazy. They gave this ability. I love when they give the mons 3 abilities, like Araquanid, for instance, right? You resist water, you're doubled in power, your water moves doubled in power, and you're immune to burn. So like, I love when they give these. That's an ability, right? I love when they give moves as well, just these overpowered things. And obviously they put on this guy with 60 base speed. So in singles, this is like a PU mon that would put in some work, at least in previous generations. It's not really like the GOAT of mons, but I feel like there's a lot I can do here, especially with support. It also has coaching, which is really nice for the rest of my team, being able to give +1 defense and attack. Giving me some cool stuff like Upper Hand as well. Low Sweep too. Grassy Glide is also an option too. And then, especially if, you know, someone has grassy terrain. There's no Rillaboom though, so I don't even know why I said Grassy Glide. But a Nasplot Baton Pass I think is also a really fun option, as all this Pokemon has. And just the natural resistances. It's overall very bulky with 88, 80, and 95. Like, they gave this starter more HP than they give to most of the starter Pokemon. And I really like it. I like it. I'm excited to see what it does this season. This and Sharpedo are like the two Mons that I am probably most excited to see what they do this season. But what do you guys think about my team? I know you look at it like, what the hell, Joey? They started off like really strong. Your first three are really strong. And then he kind of just like, hey, man, you were throwing darts at the board. Maybe. I shout out to Tony Flagon who drafted with me. But I'm very excited to use this team. I think this is a very Joey-coded team, right? This is a very me-coded team. I use what I want. I use it how I want to. And it might put in work, or we might fail miserably. You'll let me know, obviously, what you think down below. Make sure you check out all the other coaches, as I mentioned. Make sure you check out every single one of those other coaches. Their links will be down below. And then subscribe. This Sunday will be week 1 versus James. I will see you guys in the next one. Thank y'all for the patience. Peace, guys.